This is the Footbrawl Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Mantasy Footbrawl Podcast, presented by, once again, two of your performance-enhancing dads. What's happening, Stu?
Not much.
Hey, I did appreciate your intro last time, too, though. You know, it was great.
Yeah, I have not practiced that. I don't know if that was clear to anybody.
You guys give me a hard time for messing up occasionally, and then you go and do it. You're like, welcome to, we're doing a thing here. I don't know.
I mean,
So
I don't even know all the words. I just had to kind of wing it. So
That's fair.
I appreciate you letting me take the reins last week and get something quick out there while you and Boyer were busy. I apologize to everyone that had to sit through me just talking at them, but that's a lot of what this is too. So
It was much quicker than listening to me talk. So here we go.
trivia with one person was not fun.
It's a totally different world when you do it by yourself.
I mean,
ask my wife; she'll tell you.
You switch hands and it feels like somebody else. So,
all right, on to week 4. Sorry about that for all of you guys having to bear through us already.
Sorry, YouTube.
Week 4, we will start with my matchup because Andy started with his matchup.
My matchup too.
That was a joke. I got it. I beat Andy 130 to 85. That was great. I got my $5 this week for finally being the high score. I was second highest score 2 other weeks, so I'm glad I got there this time. Who'd we pick on that one?
You picked yourself, I picked myself, and Boyer also picked myself. So you were the only one that got that right.
That's right. I was nervous to pick myself, but I had to do it.
I thought it was going to be a better matchup than it was. Obviously, Joe Burrow still doesn't know how to throw a football because he's got leg cramps or whatever. But McCaffrey put up 50, which is going to lead you to a victory almost always. So
yeah,
good work having that guy.
So Jeremy versus Walker, 127 for Jeremy, 120 for Walker. This was a hell of a matchup.
Yeah, it was
This
fun
came
to watch.
down to the end. It was fun to keep an eye on. Jeremy does take the victory here, moving him to 3-1. Walker goes to 2-2. What were our predictions this week?
You and I picked Jeremy. Boyer picked Walker. Hard to say that Boyer was wrong when Walker put up 120 points, but Jeremy did win that one. So point to you and me.
That's right. Next we go to Chris versus Mr. 2-2 Charlie. I just have to give the record because Andy said he might not lose another game, so we'll have to see what happens.
I did say that. He's going 11-2.
So Charlie wins 104 to 69. Charlie finally had a good week. Justin Fields did a thing until the Bears decided not to do a thing at the very end of the game. Definitely helped him out. His weak spot became a semi-strength this week. So that was good for Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlie gets to win 104 to 69. Who did we pick?
Charlie across the board. So Ty, you're 3 for 3.
That's right. I'm not sure it's going to continue, but it's 3 for 3 right now.
It's not.
Little teaser, right? So the next game, Paul versus the duo. Paul puts a whooping on the duo, 120 to 60. Not a whole lot to cover there other than duo didn't look great this week. So
yeah, this is the first down week that they've really had.
Yeah, they're 2-2. They're still in the hunt. Paul goes to 2-2. There's a lot of parity right now. Everybody's semi-close for the most part. So a 2-2 is not a bad record at this point.
Yeah, I think there's 7 of us sitting on 2-2 right now. Nobody's lost all 4 games. Ty's the only one to win all 4. So a lot of room to move.
All right, so who do we take on Paul versus duo?
We were duo across the board, so that's a big swing and a miss for all 3 of us.
Good work, Paul. Way to make us all look like a fool.
Yep.
All right, going to the next matchup, Colin versus Boyer. Boyer is currently 1-3 after the loss. He put up 64 points this week. Colin puts up 91 and goes to 2-2. Who did we have in this one?
Well, Boyer picked himself like an idiot. You and I also picked him though. So 0 for that matchup.
Man, we're good at this. Next matchup, low score of the week, which threw me $5. Robbie, I appreciate you. 56 points versus Mr. Matt Fryer at 111. Robbie drops to 1-3. Fryer goes to 2-2. Who did we have on that one?
That one we all picked Fryer, so go us.
Game to game.
You did. Recap there. I had 3, Ty had 4, Boyer only had 2. For those of you wondering why Boyer's not here, we're starting to think that he's embarrassed by his pick standings. So he might not be back for a while. Because overall I'm at 17, Ty's at 16 now, gained a game on me. Boyer's down at 13 correct picks on the season. So get it together, man.
Trivia wasn't going well. Pick'em's not going well. Give him a hard time in the comments. Let him know that we need somebody to be wrong around here, since me and Andy are right more often than not.
Give him love. Say Boyer's the best host. Bring him back, or say it's way better without him. You can say that too.
Budget cuts.
Yeah.
All right. So after a little week 4 results, Fryer currently leading his division, followed by Andy, followed by Robbie, followed by Boyer. 2-2, 2-2, and then 2 1-3s.
Yeah, the bad division.
In the bad division, I'm taking it up at 4-0, followed by Paul at 2-2, Colin at 2-2, and then Chris at 1-3. In the ugly division, Jeremy's taking the lead at 3-1, followed by Cowboys D take Mahomes, Mr. Walker.
You're doing this recap just so you could say his name, aren't you?
I can say it again in the start step, but I'm just giving everybody an update. And I'm 4-0. Walker is at 2-2, followed by the duo at 2-2, followed by Charlie at 2-2. So that division is incredibly close right now. So with that recap of week 4 and standings, Andy is going to take us over to a little true false right now.
Not a little.
From what I heard, there's a lot of them, so bear with us. Andy, on you.
Okay. Buckle in, guys. I got 16 of these. Ty, if you want this to go a little faster, just kind of quick reaction. Yeah. So we'll start with quarterback. Mahomes is second in QB rush yards. True or false?
False.
It is false. Lamar is at the top. Dan Jones, number 2. Mahomes is number 3, though. He's got like 150 some rush yards already, which is pretty high for him.
I wouldn't have guessed that high. I would have put him at 4 or 5. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. True, false. Fields has more pass yards than Joe Burrow through 4 games.
True, because Burrow's been garbage.
It's true. He's got like 130 more pass yards. It's 861 to 728. So Burrow's been garbage. Fields has cracked 200 in 3 or 4 games, so that's pretty good for him.
This last game helped him a lot.
Yeah, it did. It was for his first 300-yard passing game in 2+ seasons. That's what you want, right?
In his 14-game losing streak.
CJ Stroud's doing it every week, and Fields is like, I figured it out, guys.
Now listen, I can't help that guy. Or
the
whole organization.
Moving on. Tua leads the league in quarterback rating. True or false?
True.
False. Brock Purdy leads the league in quarterback rating, followed by Tua, followed by Russell Wilson. Quarterback rating, not a good metric, guys.
Interesting.
Purdy is pretty efficient, so I'll give him that. But Russ being up there, I was pretty surprised by.
Yeah, well, they only get offense for 30 plays a game, where some other people are throwing the ball 70 times a game.
Yeah.
Maybe a little over exaggerated, but 40, 45 times a game versus Russ's 20 makes a big difference.
And I think Russ only has 1 or 2 interceptions, which obviously helps, and 9 touchdowns. So even though he's not throwing for too many yards. All right. Last quarterback question. True or false? Jordan Love has more points than Jalen Hurts, Tua, Kirk Cousins, and Patrick Mahomes. Is Jordan Love ahead of all 4 of those guys?
I'm going to say yes, because you're asking me the question true, but he's ahead of Mahomes, because Mahomes has had a couple weeks of 13, 14 points, and Love has not been that low normally. Is he ahead of all of them? I don't know, but I'm going to say true.
He is. Jordan Love currently the fourth highest scoring quarterback behind only Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. So
Right.
good pickup, Walker. He's never going to play him because he's got Mahomes, but good pickup, Walker. All right. On to running backs, Ty, and this one's a doozy. True or false? Austin Eckler has more rushing touchdowns than Bijan, Najee, Brees Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, Alexander Madison, and Javonte Williams combined.
You're not going to ask me those 7 specific running backs. The answer is true, though.
Eckler has 1. Do all of those players have 0?
Yes.
They do. They all have 0.
Bijan has a passing touchdown, a receiving touchdown.
He does have a receiving touchdown. I think some of these other guys might as well, but
Right.
none of those names, and some of them big names, have found pay dirt. So that's a bummer.
Yeah, Brees Hall's been nursing an injury. Alexander Madison's just not been finding the end zone. He's not been super efficient. So
Yep.
Javonte and that whole Denver team is a mess. So
Sure
you know,
is. Unless they play the Bears, then they're fine.
but Javonte got injured, so he still didn't find pay dirt.
I know. I lost that bet. All right, moving on. I got another Eckler question to hype up if he ever plays again. True or false? Eckler and McCaffrey are the only running backs currently averaging over 100 rushing yards a game.
Are the only
100
false.
rush yards a game.
False.
Okay, who else is doing it? There's one other guy. You're right.
Devon Achane is gonna be my guess.
It's A-Chain. Nice work, Ty. Fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Sorry, YouTube.
Damn it, I nailed it. Yeah, I mean, he's been a stud the last 2.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out where he was, he even played game 1, what he did game 2, but I assumed with how many he put up week 3, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I think week 2 he had
decent.
like 3 touches for 10 yards or something, but then he put up 200 and 100, which gets you to
Right.
over 300 for 3 games because he didn't play week 1.
Math.
Yep.
Oh, week 1 was my question: is did he play or did he not play?
Yeah, he didn't play.
So
So
we're good
that's
there.
what does it.
All right. Before Andy goes on to the next true false question, we're going to break this up with just a little bit of a. Wow. What you drinking?
That one felt good.
That was a good one. Good one. What are you drinking over there?
Sam Adams Oktoberfest, because now it is officially October.
Perfect. I am out of all my fancy stuff, so I'm back to Miller Lite. So
back to trying to get those residual checks.
That's right. You see how I switched from Coors to Miller. We're gonna jump around here, see if somebody will pick me up at some point.
Fair enough.
Nothing chases milk like a good Miller Lite.
Put it in a commercial.
We got to do it every now and then. All right, back to true false.
All right, true false. Still on running backs. Jaylen Warren leads running backs in receiving yards. True or false?
False.
It is false. He's number 4 with 127. Ahead of him, McCaffrey has 141. Bijan has 134. But ahead of all of those guys, Josh Jacobs has 173 receiving yards already. That's quite a few.
Jacobs has been mediocre on the ground, but he had been good through the air.
Yeah, that's actually more yards than he has rushing. He only has 166 on the ground.
See,
not a problem most guys have.
I know some things today.
Look at you. You're nailing it. All right. True or false? James Conner is tied for the lead in 20-plus yard runs this year. Big plays, as ESPN classifies them. It's true. You want to guess the other guy?
20-plus yard runs. Mostert.
Close. A-Chain.
Yeah. I was debating between the 2 of them, and I was like, I got to pick one of them.
Hey, you tried.
It was close.
All right. On to receiver questions. True or false? Nico Collins is wide receiver 5. ahead of names like Devontae Adams, Puka, and AJ Brown.
The real question is he wide receiver 5?
Right.
True. He is ahead of those guys. I just didn't know if he was.
He is, and they are. Those guys are 6, 7, and 8. Nico's ahead of all of them. All right, this one's more fun.
I was more concerned about the 2-part question where he might have been 3, but still ahead of those guys.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, this one's more fun. True or false? Rondale Moore has more rushing yards than receiving yards.
Rondale Moore plays a sport?
He plays receiver for the Cardinals.
Well, I don't know if he plays receiver for the Cardinals.
That's what we're determining.
Then true, he has more rush yards than receiving yards.
He does. He leads receivers with 66 rushing yards, and he only has 55 receiving yards. Did I say receiving yards the first time? 66 rush yards, 55 receiving yards.
That guy's not. He's not doing anything.
No, he's not real good.
Him and Kadarius Toney could hang out.
Yeah, right. All right, on to the next one. True or false? Jamar Chase has more points than Drake London.
Do that one again.
Jamar Chase has more fantasy points than Drake London.
False.
It's true. He's got 4 more points. Only 1 point per week more than Drake London, who's been bad, but so is Chase.
I just knew Drake London had a couple touchdowns, so I figured at least I had a shot on that.
Right. All right, last receiver question. True or false? Romeo Doubs and Tank Dell have more points than players like CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, and Chris Olave.
True.
That is true.
Guy's been good.
Yeah, they've both been good. Tank Dell kind of boom bust, but Romeo Doubs has been the target monster. Had like 13 targets the other week.
Yeah.
All
Tank
right.
Dell, the little guy that could, huh? Came in and doing his thing.
He's hitting some big plays here and there. You love to see it. All right, I got
Somebody's
a couple.
got to do it for that team,
right? Not Dameon Pierce.
Apparently,
he's averaging 2.8 yards a carry, but they haven't had an offensive line until week 5. So here's hoping that gets better. All right, I got a couple tight end questions, and then one kicker and one defense question, which are kind of also not kicker and defense questions, but we'll see that when we get there. All right, tight end, true or false? Kelsey is averaging less than 55 yards a game. He did miss week 1, but this ignores that. That is true. He only has, I think, like 153 receiving yards through his 3 games, which comes out to like 50 point something per game. Not great. He's getting the touchdowns, so he's doing it. But all right. True or false? Cole Kmet is now tight end number 1 after last week's explosion.
False.
It is false. He's 3 points behind Mark Andrews for number 1.
Because Andrews had a big week last week too.
He did. Yeah, Mark Andrews has 3 touchdowns and 160 yards. Cole Kmet has 2 touchdowns and 189 yards. So he's doing pretty good.
On my team now. I'm not sure it's going to last, but Freiermuth going down didn't help. Go on. Keep going on true false.
All right. Kicker question. Kicker number 1, Jake Elliott, has more points than all but 8 flex eligible players. So if Jake Elliott were a running back, wide receiver, or tight end, he would be 9th on the list when you go by flex scores.
True.
It is true. He has 64 fantasy points. He beats out Stephon Diggs is the next guy on the list with the fractions of a point behind him. So he's averaging like 16 points a week.
Crazy.
Right? He's on Walker's team.
And
go ahead.
If Colin were to like pay up and draft a kicker, maybe Colin could have one of those.
Maybe. You gotta get the right one. At least defense is a little bit easier to read. So that brings us to Walker's defense. Dallas is the top scoring defense. We all are pretty comfortable with that. But
I'm not comfortable with it, but I know the fact. Go on.
Walker's comfortable with it. True or false? Dallas would be the top flex option.
True.
False. They're behind only Christian McCaffrey.
Uh,
Dallas has 80 fantasy points so far this year. McCaffrey has 102. Second on the list is Raheem Mostert with 76.
I did know McCaffrey was the highest fantasy scorer, but
Yeah. It's a weird way to phrase the question, but I also don't know how to ask it. So
right.
that's probably on me.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
All right. Well, I hope you people had fun with the return of True False. That's all I got.
Hopefully you guys were able to guess quickly. 1.5 speed would have been rough on this one.
Yeah, it would have been rough on this one.
Too late for the
get
notice
those
now.
quick reactions in there. You can't have time to think about it.
That's true. All right. So Andy, you know how this works. You get to talk some more.
I get to talk some more about your shit team.
That's right.
Hey,
Take
some
me
scary shadow voice told me that your team wasn't any good. How come you put up 180 million points against me last week?
I don't know. I do appreciate Scary Shadow Voice giving me something to work for, though.
You think it's Boyer? You think that's what he's
Is that what he's doing now?
what he's left to do is just be in a dark closet masking his voice?
Side hustle.
That's not budget cuts.
I get paid by Miller Lite. He gets paid by some sponsor to do power rankings.
All right, Tyler
all right, take us
versus
into week
Fryer.
5 matchups.
Yeah,
week 5 matchups.
Ty, you've got.
I got players.
I'm not going to say them all. McCaffrey's projected to score more points than Tua. He's projected for almost 20 points, which is insane, but he's been getting it. His low through 4 weeks is 17.9.
Against Dallas defense, they're projecting it that high.
Yeah. So that's seems optimistic, but it's McCaffrey, so probably not. How do you feel about playing Akers this week?
Not great. I might play McLaughlin if Javante's out.
Yeah, which is fair, but he's got the Jets, which also isn't amazing.
He's going to have more run than Akers, though.
Yeah, that's probably true.
If Javante is 100% out, McLaughlin will go in over Akers. Akers had 7 touches last week, where McLaughlin's going to get at least 14 to 17 touches.
Yeah,
if he's going to be the starter.
Fair. He did have 51 yards on those 7 touches, though, so he's doing decent.
Yeah.
So it's should be interesting to see how that progresses. But yeah, I think I agree with you. Put McLaughlin in if Javante's out. Any inkling of getting Dotson in against the Bears? Probably you want that. You put him in over Myers or London.
If I do, it'll probably be over London.
Yeah.
Myers has been good. If Jimmy G is out, I might take Myers out. But if Jimmy G is back, Myers gets peppered with targets. Aiden O'Connell was not great last week.
Very true.
I think there's a lot of injuries that play into my lineup this week on the backside of things. Javonte Williams, Jimmy G, some of that.
Ford being on a bye hurts you too. So
sure does.
Kind of opens the door for the guy on the other side. Let's talk about Fryer's team. He's got Ramondre is questionable with a thigh, was a limited participant, but that's probably just the Patriots playing games. I don't remember hearing anything about that. Fryer does have Kenneth Walker on a bye, who's been really good this year. So he's got Addison in at the flex. You like Addison or Zay Flowers? Or the recently acquired Zay Jones?
I'm not playing Zay Jones.
Yeah, I don't think I am either, but he did pick him up.
I think I'm playing Addison for the upside. I do like Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers plays Pittsburgh. Maybe I'm playing Zay Flowers over Addison, I think.
Yeah, I would too. Flowers has just been so consistent. He hasn't had a touchdown yet, but especially going against Pittsburgh, and I don't know what it's looking like for this week, but Baltimore's receiving room's banged up. I don't think Beckham or Bateman played last week. So if it's just Andrews and Flowers, stack your Ravens and hope for a big game against Pittsburgh, and there's your window.
Right. This last week he had 4 targets, but they played Cleveland, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Other than that, he had 10, 5, and 10. So I imagine he goes back up to about 7 targets this week. If he can get to 7 targets, I'm more than happy with Flowers getting 50 yards and possibly a touchdown.
Yeah, that Cleveland game was also well at hand, so they didn't have to be throwing very much.
Right.
So Ty and I would put Flowers in over Addison, but it's close enough. I wouldn't fight you on it, but I do lean that way. I don't have any problem with putting the 3 Ravens in and having that stack. I think that could work. All right, Ty, who you got in this one?
I'm going to take Fryer.
Really? You're that worried about your RB2 situation?
I'm not worried about my team in general. I don't trust Cole Kmet. Granted, I didn't trust Fryermuth after the first couple weeks. My team is, I don't, how I'm 4-0, I don't know, outside of McCaffrey and Tua.
Yeah, I mean that's all you need. The scores are in the 80s this year. I mean,
I did play a good matchup on defense last week. I should have a decent defense matchup this week, but I'm not banking on a defense to win me a week. So I think Fryer has more firepower all around than I do. So I'm going with Fryer.
interesting. Yeah, I think the Ravens could definitely pop against the Steelers, but I am going to pick you. I think Tua and McCaffrey is, I mean, in a lot of weeks, enough to do it by themselves. And I'm not super afraid of Fryer's any one player on Fryer's team. I think, the Ravens could pop. Ramondre has not been it this year. Kamara had 13 catches or whatever the hell he had, but he still didn't produce fantasy numbers in a non-PPR league last week. So that doesn't seem to be that threatening either. I just don't see the guy on Fryer's team that can keep up with McCaffrey and Tua right now.
McCaffrey having Dallas is going to be the toughest defense we played too, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Dallas got torched by Arizona, and then it's played well other weeks. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just, to be honest, I'm always nervous about my team. I look at my team daily, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
right.
So, but Nico Collins could go for 30. He could go for 5.
Right.
Myers could go for 3. He could go for 15 or 20. So, I mean, I got so many boom bust guys with my wide receivers that make me nervous. And then tight end and RB2 just don't make me comfortable.
Yeah, that's fair. I am not super jazzed about either of your teams this week missing key running backs, but I'm leaning Ty. Boyer also picked Ty. So, Ty, you're the only one that didn't pick you, which is interesting.
Since I was the only one that picked me last week.
Hey, you might be onto something.
All right. Jeremy versus Andy. We're gonna jump over to that one. Jeremy's lineup is pretty set. He's got Herbert on a bye. He's got Lockett on a bye. I don't think I'm playing Michael Thomas over anybody that's in. Javonte Williams, if he is playing, do you play? I'm not playing Javonte over Henry, A-Chain, or Kyron Williams at this point.
Absolutely not.
So I think Jeremy's lineup is set. I have 0 lineup decisions for Jeremy's team.
Yep. Agreed.
So Andy's team, we could talk Jared Goff over Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow plays Arizona this week, so yeah, I'm not sure this is the week you want to sit him.
I am rolling with Burrow. I'm waiting for that to happen, and I'm trusting in my potential MVP candidate before the season started, Joe Burrow. I don't know what the hell's going on, and I haven't watched a lot of Bengals games to know how concerned I should be, but clearly it hasn't been pretty. But even at home against Carolina, I'm not playing Goff this week. I'm going to roll with Burrow and hope that sorts itself out.
So outside of that, right now, Romeo Doubs would be my question, but I'm not playing Michael Wilson. I know that he had a big week. I'm not playing Michael Wilson this week. Cortland Sutton against the Jets, I'm probably not doing that either.
Yeah,
so I'm leaving Doubs in.
Matchup.
I'm leaving Romeo Doubs in against Las Vegas. You got Brian Robinson and Swift. You got Goddard. Damian Pierce is questionable, but I imagine that's a rest day situation.
Yeah, he cropped up with a knee injury, I think, on the report. It sounds like he was limited, so I'm not concerned about it. The Texans are supposed to be getting 3/5 of their offensive line back off of IR and various injuries, so that should help.
Right.
And I also am real excited for Bijan to go against Houston.
Oh, I said Brian Robinson, didn't I?
I
Did I
mean,
say either way?
it's B Robinson, B Rob, just B Rob.
But yeah, so my Zach Moss is on your bench. I mean, if Taylor doesn't play, you could put Moss in over Pierce if you don't like Pierce. Tennessee's defense is tough. Algier shown that he's not much at this point. So you're not running the 2 Atlanta back. So
Yeah, I think my main question here is quarterback, and I'm not making that change.
yep. All right. So with that, oh boy,
I know, right?
I think I'm leaning Andy's side this week. Ayuk has been good. Bijan Robinson gets Houston. On flip side of that, Damian Pierce gets Atlanta, and that should theoretically be a high scoring game. Granted,
Open.
well, so we'll see if that's a high scoring game and Burrow can get right. I think Andy's going to go ahead and take this one. Should be a hell of a matchup, though.
Yeah, which is what I said last week against Burrow playing against the Titans, whose secondary is real bad, and he put up what 3 points, 4 points. So,
who are you taking?
I'm picking me. I think that my running backs are going to do very well this week. I'm not super jazzed about the rest of it. I would love for Burrow and Goddard to get their heads out of their asses and actually just sniff their projections is all I'm asking. Just 15-5 would be great, fellas. But
Henry finally got right. A-Chain's been a stud. Kyron
Yep.
Williams has been a stud. Jeremy's team could put up 130 this week easy.
It could. And I don't know that I can keep up with 130. I don't know that Jeremy gets to 130. I think this is the week that I crack 100 and I feel good about. I mean, I haven't cracked 90 yet, so I think that Jeremy hits his projection. He's got a good team. I don't like Kyron's matchup this week. But beyond that, I mean, Howell could torch the Bears and put up 25 points and go from there. So we'll see. But Boyer picked Jeremy. You and I are going with me. I think that's about right that we're split. The tough one.
All right. You want to jump to Chris versus Boyer?
Sure. Chris versus Boyer. Should be a dud. 2, 1, and 3 teams. At least one of them gets a win here. So on Chris's side, I'm looking at keeping Richardson in against Tennessee as opposed to putting Trevor Lawrence in. I think Richardson has earned his starting spot with all the rushing touchdowns and such that he's been doing. He has a rushing touchdown in all 3 games he's played. So that's pretty big. Any issues there, Ty? You want to talk me into Trevor Lawrence?
Nope.
Cool. Beyond that, he's got Jamal Williams, Cooper Kupp, Charbonnet all not playing for one reason or another. Pickens against Baltimore, with the way Steelers have been going, you're probably not getting him in there. Same with Warren. I don't really see any lineup decisions on Chris's side outside the quarterback, and that one's pretty clear cut.
Yep, I'd agree.
All right, Boyer's got his Buccaneers on a bye. Gainwell, Gibson, both not anything. Dalvin Cook, Rashee Rice, both not super exciting. So I guess it comes down to, do you want Rashee Rice in against Minnesota, or do you want the Jaden Reed against Vegas on Monday night?
I think it's going to come down to if T. Higgins plays. Because if T. Higgins doesn't play,
he probably won't, right? It's his ribs.
He said he's going to play through it, but I think that they're going to be more cautious in not playing Arizona this week.
Yeah.
So I think that he has to play Rashee Rice over T. Higgins this weekend. If T. Higgins is playing, you're playing T. Higgins. But I think he's going to be forced to make that change with Higgins.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I don't think it matters. I think he's going to be playing Rashee Rice over Higgins.
Yeah. So do you like would you play a guy like Wandale or Tyler Boyd, who are free agents currently, over Reed or Rice, and drop a guy like Gibson, who's not shown anything so far this year?
I'm probably leaving Reed in just because the Packers have been pass heavy. All of their receivers have been decent. Even with Christian Watson coming back, they're still spreading the ball around to everybody. So I'm not opposed to playing Reed over Rashee Rice. I did almost pick up Wan'Dale Robinson. I like Wan'Dale Robinson this week.
They're spreading the ball
Just
around a ton.
Moving forward, but the whole Giants team is also rough.
Mhm.
So do you go to a bad offense, or do you ride a decent offense and hope that your guy can get touches?
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
I like Wan'Dale Robinson. So if anybody wants to go pick him up, that's the guy I was looking at real hard this week.
I will say I really like Tyler Boyd. If T. Higgins is down, he's had some very good games in the absence of one
replacement.
of their two studs. So that's definitely a viable play. I wouldn't fault you for not shaking up your roster to do that ad just to fill in this week, but I do think that he's got a game in him, you know.
So hypothetically, Jonathan Taylor doesn't play. You move Brees Hall up. Who are you playing in the flex? Gainwell, Gibson, Rice, Cook.
I mean, if Taylor doesn't play and Higgins doesn't play, you're looking at starting Dalvin Cook or Gibson unless you make a move. At that point, I would make a move and I'd play Tyler Boyd. I'm fine dropping Gibson. Gibson has done fuck all. His biggest game so far this year on the ground is 6 carries for 19 yards. His 3 of his 4 games receiving, he's had 10 yards or less. His biggest game of the year fantasy wise was 9 yards on the ground and 44 through the air. So through a month, he's capping out at 5 points.
So here's the thing. Before I drop Gibson this week, I'm actually playing him over Gainwell or Cook because he gets Chicago. Chicago is not great on defense. And if Washington goes up big early, Gibson could be getting workload.
Maybe. I don't know. I'd rather play Tyler Boyd than Antonio Gibson, even against the Bears.
Sure, you could make a move, but I'm saying out of what's here right now, Cook, Gainwell, Gibson, Rice. I'm playing Gibson against the Bears, hoping Washington can take a lead, give Gibson the ball, and let him do some work.
Yeah, that's fair. Between Gibson and Gainwell, I'd definitely go Gibson against the Bears, but we've got more options than that, and I'm looking to the waiver wire.
On that, either way, I don't like either of these teams a whole lot, but I'm going to take Chris off for this one.
Yeah, I am too. Boyer's big heavy hitter here is Josh Allen, and he's playing in the London game, which is generally not ideal for big games. So he's going to be jet lagged. I think the Jaguars got to just hang out in London for a week, which probably helps them. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes.
Who'd Boyer take? Himself?
Boyer took Chris.
All right. Pick the opposite person strategy this week.
Yep. I did not adhere to that. Just you and Boyer.
All right. So we're going to move on to Paul versus Colin. Paul has Deshaun Watson on bye, David Njoku on bye. He's got Hollywood Brown and Gabe Davis on his bench. I'm not starting that over Justin Jefferson or Adams. And then he's got Pacheco in the flex. So I'm not starting Gabe Davis or Marquise Brown over Isaiah Pacheco. So I don't see any lineup decisions for Paul at this point.
Yeah, I think if you were going to switch something around, it would probably be dropping Herbert down and playing Hollywood over him. I wouldn't do it, but that's probably where you're looking to make a move.
I would play, if you're going to drop Herbert and move Pacheco up, I'm going to play Gabe Davis over Hollywood Brown.
Really? Okay.
Gabe Davis has had some big weeks. He's been getting targeted. He's gotten some touchdowns. He's had 3 straight weeks of touchdowns.
He does have 3 straight weeks of touchdowns. That helps.
They like him. He's had 32 yards week 1, but then 92, 35, 61, and touchdown.
Sure.
So it's hard for me to say that he's not going to be targeted around the goal line. He's not going to be targeted for a couple big plays. And that's what Gabe Davis lived on last year. I hate it. I hate Lockett because he was a big play type guy like that. And those aren't the guys I go for. But I think I'm taking the shot on Davis if we're going to be flipping people out for Herbert.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Tell us all about how Colin thought that his receivers were in the top 24 before the season started.
So Colin has Olave and Waddle right now. Devonta Smith is his flex. But he really has nothing on his bench. It's the problem. He's got Bateman.
JMO. But you're not putting him in over those other three guys.
No, especially not week one coming back.
Right.
So then he's got Roschon Johnson, Josh Jacobs at running back. And that's about it. He's got Eckler out on his bench. So there are no lineup decisions to be made on this team.
So I am going to, if it was my team, play Hayden Hurst over Kincaid. I'm not jazzed about either guy, but I like Hayden Hurst better this week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. But if I'm going to tie myself to somebody, I'm going to tie myself to the Bills.
In London.
The Bills offense. It doesn't matter. I'm still tying them to the Bills.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't expect either of them to have a big game, but I like Hayden Hurst a little bit better.
Yep. And I'm taking Paul on this one.
I think that I will agree with you. Paul seems to have a better team right now. Boyer agrees with us. We're so smart.
All right. Cowboys D take Mahomes versus Charlie.
It's so bad.
I have to.
I know. I'm glad you enjoy it. All right. On Walker's side, you're not playing Jordan Love, QB4, over Patrick Mahomes, QB less than that, because why would you? Beyond that, Debo or Pittman is probably your choice. I think leave DJ Moore in.
I would. I hate DJ Moore. It's so hard for me to pick DJ Moore, but he's been scoring, so leave him in.
Yeah. I mean, week one was bad, but week 2 he had 100 yards. Week 3 he had a touchdown. Week 4 he had 100 yards and a touchdown. So
right. Yeah, I'm putting DJ Moore, or I'm putting DJ Moore. I'm putting Deebo Samuel in over Pittman if Deebo's healthy and playing, which I imagine he is.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Probably nothing else here. How do you feel about Najee at this point? Did 10 points against the Texans make you feel better?
No, but he's got nobody else to go for, so I don't like Najee. I'm not a big fan. Somebody's tried to sell him to me in the other leagues, and I'm not buying at the price they're trying to sell him. Everybody's high on him still, and I'm not. So I don't think Najee's great. I think that offense is bad.
Yeah, that offensive line's been bad forever, and that offense as a whole now is pretty rough. And Najee was always a volume guy, not an efficiency guy, and that volume's kind of petered off as they have shorter drives and Warren's seeing more work and everything. I don't think there's any risk of Warren taking his job. Warren doesn't look much better, but
so I had this conversation earlier. His rookie year, 300 plus touches, 310 or something like that.
Right.
For rushing. Year 2 was like 275, and this year he's on pace for about 200 carries. So he's gone from 310 to 275 to a 200 touch pace right now.
Yeah, and it's not like he's a 5 yards a carry back. He's 3.8.
Right. So,
and not a lot of touchdowns go around either. So, but Walker didn't have anybody better on the bench. So keep him in, bud.
Yep.
All right, I forgot. Was I doing this one or you?
You.
Okay. Charlie, he's got Pitts or Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz, despite being second in tight end targets with something like 30, is not in the top 15 in yards, and he has 0 touchdowns. So he's getting volume and doing fuck all with it. Sorry, YouTube. I'm playing Pitts.
Yes, I'm playing Pitts as well. Ertz has had 2 5-point games and then had 2 like 0.7 games. And Ertz Pitts has been 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he's not been great either. But Pitts at least has upside because he's young and athletic. Ertz is not young and not athletic.
Yeah. That. All right, last question. Washington football team against the Bears, probably, or Detroit's very good defense against the Panthers, who are also very bad.
I think there's more turnovers to be had in Chicago.
Probably. Oh, that sucks.
So,
all right, who you got in this one, Ty? Cowboys
um,
D, take Mahomes or Soldier Fields?
God, man.
I know. This is tough.
I'm gonna take Walker.
Okay.
I'm not high on either of these teams this week, but I'm gonna take Walker.
Boyer also picked Walker. Walker's defense can't carry him this week. I'm assuming San Francisco is going to score. So 20 points a week you've been getting out of Dallas is not going to get it done. On the other hand, Charlie, who has been very defense poor until last week, has two good options for his defense. So I am leaning Charlie in this one. Boyer picked Walker. Tyler also picked Cowboys D, take Mahomes.
I'm nervous a little bit about Pittman.
Yeah.
I'm nervous a little bit about Najee. Both tight end rooms are garbage. But on Charlie's side, I'm also nervous about Madison because he's not been great.
Sure.
David Montgomery's been putting up 30 points, but like I have a feeling he's not gonna do that every week. Granted, Carolina's not good, so maybe he is.
Yeah.
But is he gonna put up 32 points again? Is he gonna put up 11 and 13?
Like, I mean, I don't think he has to, as long as he gets that touchdown. Like, Gibbs has not shown anything.
I know.
It's not like last year where it was Swift and then it was, Jamal Williams coming in to vulture the touchdowns.
Right.
Like, this is
still just
all Monty all the time.
I know,
which a good line to run behind.
Yeah, I just at some point I think they're going to switch more towards Gibbs, but Montgomery's just been doing it. So
maybe. Why would you?
I don't know. He just the name Montgomery just doesn't scream like, oh, I'm a good running back, but I know that he's putting up points and I know he's doing it, but he just I don't know. We'll see. Chase and Ridley have both been mediocre as well. So there's a lot of things that they're good players, good names, but there's been a lot of down with some of these guys right now. So granted, you know all about the Chase down with Burrow. So
sure do. Chase has been okay. Obviously no touchdowns, but the last 2 weeks he's got 210 yards,
right,
which is, better than the first 2 weeks. He's getting 20 yards a week.
Right.
Just hasn't fixed Burrow.
So me and Boyer took Walker. You're taking Charlie.
Yep.
That one should be a good matchup as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, so we're going to move to the duo versus Robbie. The duo has Keenan Allen on a bye, Smith and Jigba on a bye. Outside of that, he's got Josh Reynolds on the bench. But you're not starting him over any of the people that are over Tank Dell maybe, but I'm not sitting Tank Dell for Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, I don't think
there's
so.
At least upside. There's at least upside with Tank Dell. AJ Dillon and Tony Pollard, you're starting them. Kelsey, you're starting. So I got no lineup decisions for the duo at this point.
Yeah, I think Justice Hill's dealing with some stuff, but I think if he's playing, I'm putting him in over AJ Dillon. I said to play Dillon last week and was wildly wrong. Dillon's just been awful. There's been nothing.
But
his touches has gone down. His efficiency is awful. He's not scoring. There's nothing.
Justice Hill had 11 carries that week 2 and didn't do much with it, was out. And then last week he had 3 carries for 33 yards. So that helped.
Yeah.
But
I think Pittsburgh's a good matchup for him.
Yeah, I just
if
don't
he's
know
healthy.
What Justice Hill. I just don't know what Justice Hill is. But AJ Dillon, we know he's not taking it over any workload. So
right.
I could see it. At least Justice Hill, if he's playing, he's starting, which means getting 10 touches.
Yeah. A question on Duo's team. Is Samaji Perine droppable with the emergence of McLaughlin?
I think you have to hold him a week here and see what happens.
So I'm going to
I think McLaughlin
disagree
in.
because they're not trying to handcuff Javante. I think that if you were trying to handcuff Javante, maybe you wait and see on Perine. But since they just have him as a stash, it doesn't cost them anything to cut him loose.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
could see waiting a week to see if he gets the touches in this next game if Javante's out, but I mean,
Yeah, but
they've got
at
some
the
issues
same
right now.
at the same, I mean, you're holding Rico Dowdle for handcuffing Pollard, but like,
I mean, that one you hold because you have Pollard.
right?
Jeremy's
Josh
got
Reynolds.
Javante.
Josh Reynolds is he's had a couple decent games, but like you're not going to play him over most of your other guys. So at this point, he's not necessarily has to be held, but I don't know. I think P Ryan for this week. I don't think they need to make a big move anyway.
Fair.
So like this week alone, I'm holding P Ryan because if something happens, if Javante's not coming back and P Ryan's a hot hand, if something happens, maybe P Ryan gets to take more of a secondary back. But I don't know. There's not a lot out there that I'm overly excited to drop him to go grab somebody anyway at this point.
So AJ Dillon's in their starting lineup right now. Collins starting Roshan Johnson. How do you feel about either of those guys compared to Latavius Murray, who's sitting out there?
I don't like Latavius Murray either. I would sit on Dillon. I get Latavius Murray's been okay. So I mean, I guess if you go drop P Ryan to pick up Latavius Murray, but that's
Give you
also
another
just
option this week.
yeah. I mean, it's just another backup that's there. I
Yeah.
mean, at least Murray can get touchdowns and get more touches.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not overly excited to pick him up. So I don't
All
know.
fair. All
All right,
fair.
over to Robbie. Robbie does have Saquon Barkley in his flex. He may or may not play. He has a lot of decisions. We got TJ Hawkinson versus Kansas City or George Kittle versus Dallas. I think I'm putting Hawkinson back in over Kittle.
Yep. Kittle has not been doing it. Last week he had 1 catch for 9 yards. He has 0 touchdowns so far.
Kittle and Purdy are like best friends on the team.
Yeah,
Purdy
they
doesn't
were
throw him the ball.
massive connection last year when Purdy was a rookie, but once you're done being a rookie, then you don't have to check down to the tight end all the time. You actually throw the receivers, I think is protocol.
Dak Prescott against San Fran, you're probably just going to keep him in over Stroud against Atlanta. Although I like Stroud against Atlanta, but I don't know that I'm sitting Prescott this week.
Yeah, I think it would be a mistake to sit Prescott this week, but I am going to point out that Stroud has 3 games at 280 or more passing yards, and Dak has 0. Dak's high passing yards on the season is 261.
Stroud has been over 20 points a game the last 3. Dak has been at 19, 14, and 14.
Yeah, so I could see where a manager would want to make this switch. I don't think you should. Especially the way that most of the Dallas games have gone against the Niners, they're going to have to perform more than just their defense and running out the clock. So I'm expecting to see a lot more out of Dak. Dak's a better quarterback than rookie CJ Stroud, so at least fantasy wise.
Yep. If Judy doesn't play, he was limited with a knee issue. I imagine he plays. He was limited last week and still played. Are you looking at starting Terry McLaurin?
I'm putting Terry in against the Bears over Judy regardless.
Yep. Okay. That's what I was going to say too, but I have to at least offer the option. What about Christian Kirk? Are you just leaving Christian Kirk in? He's had a 10, 11, and 8-point game, 110 yards, 54 and a touchdown, and an 84. So I mean, he's at least been targeted well.
Yeah, outside of that first game, he's done just fine.
He's been
Buffalo's
better than
a
Ridley.
tough matchup, but yeah.
He's been better than Ridley the last 3 almost. So
yeah, I think if Judy wasn't banged up, I'd put him in over Kirk, but given that he is, and Judy also draws the Jets, so it's not like his matchup's any better than Kirk's. I'm gonna leave Kirk in this week.
Yep.
And Kirk
and
and McLaurin.
It might be a moot moot point anyway, because if Barkley doesn't play, you're putting McLaurin in over Barkley, and then you're leaving everybody else.
Yeah, probably true.
So, Gus Edwards, Baltimore running back, are you starting him? He rushed 15 times for 48 yards last week.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gus is the guy right now, especially while Justice Hill is banged up. Pittsburgh has been pretty generous against opposing running backs. Damian Pierce had success against them last week, and that's with a third string offensive line in front of him. So I could see getting him in if Saquon sits, putting Edwards in over playing Judy. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's another option. So there's a lot of options here for Robbie. So who are you taking in this?
I've got the duo. I don't think Robbie has enough anywhere on his team to keep up with Hurts and Pollard and Kelsey. And the rest of duo's team after those guys is, I'm going to say, a bummer. I think a bummer is a fair way to put that, but they've got the three studs that Robbie just doesn't really have right now.
That's fair. I'm gonna take Robbie in this week. Robbie's gonna surprise us this week.
Where do you think it comes from?
James Conner against Cincinnati is a decent matchup. Conner's had a couple good games so far. Aaron Jones has pretty much taken over for AJ Dillon.
Sure.
So Vegas isn't a tough matchup.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully Jones is healthy now. Hawkinson against Kansas City, that should be a shootout game. Hawkinson should score.
Hawkinson should be in the starting lineup. Start there.
Well, yes, I would agree with that. So I think Tank Dell could have a down week. Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson, Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson are great players.
Sure.
But I fantasy wise this year,
right?
They're not big boom plays yet. So
yeah, I agree.
I think there's enough, even with Robbie's team not being great and not having big names. But if Aaron Jones kills Dillon, that RB2 situation, Robbie gets a huge up in because they're playing each other.
Yeah, fair.
So I think there's enough there on Robbie's side this week because I don't necessarily, granted, Garrett Wilson against Denver. Denver could get absolutely torched by Garrett Wilson all night, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Where I like Kirk, but Kirk against Buffalo's rough, so there's not great matchups on necessarily anywhere, but I just think that Robbie has enough consistency down the board here to put up possibly 85 to 89 and be able to take a win.
All right.
I'm not high on either team, to be honest with you. So whatever.
All right. Well, you went against me and Boyer on that one and in the Charlie Walker matchup. So good luck, man. Trying to gain some ground on me, I see.
I'm not really trying to gain ground, just throwing out thoughts here. My thoughts are not always great.
Truth.
So that puts us through week 5 matchups. You got anything else on your end?
I don't think so.
All right, perfect. Then I got a quick would you rather.
Okay.
Andy, would you rather bang Fryer or Colin? Is that a fair question?
Colin.
Oh, all right. Sorry, Fryer. No good. And then who's my mom's favorite in the league?
Your mom?
Yeah. Who's my mom's favorite fantasy football manager?
Colin.
Damn. It's always Colin, huh?
I mean, have you seen that guy?
I expected you to say you because you were the favorite child, but
that's probably true.
That's fine. True or false? Jeremy has smaller balls than me.
False. Jeremy's balls are enormous.
Maybe that just means mine aren't quite as enormous, right?
Yeah, it must be a family thing.
All right. I had no dad joke ready, so I had to give you a couple questions here at the end that had nothing to do with anything fantasy related.
I've seen a lot less of your balls than Jeremy's, so Take that for what
That's
it's
fair.
worth.
All right. On that, Andy, you want to do the thing here at the end? Yeah, right. Like, comment,
Like,
subscribe, hit the
comment,
bell thing.
subscribe, talk about
All right.
whether or not you miss Boyer. Okay. I hate everybody. Your important upcoming life events do not matter to me even a tiny bit. Good luck to everybody except for whoever's playing Tyler this week, which is Fryer. So bad luck, Fryer. Good luck, everybody else. That is that it?
Yeah. Now you're supposed to say, and we're out, and then you put your fingers up. Ready? Go.
We're out.